All right, so for this next episode, we got Paige Steckling, and what can I say about Paige? She absolutely brought it. We were super excited to have her in here because she's one of the first that has come in that actually brought with her a massive social media following. Now, the reason that this is so important is because what it allows her to offer sellers and buyers as far as an advantage is huge, right? In this market, in this day and age, having an advantage with the agent that you hire is critical. And so being able to dive into that just a little bit with her and hear how having 30-something thousand followers on Instagram allows her to expose people's houses to more and more people than any other agent out there was awesome, right? Rather than just being able to throw it up on the MLS, rather than just being able to do whatever with it, Paige puts a ton of money into marketing her homes in the best way possible for her buyers and sellers. So without getting into it too much more, here we go. Paige Steckling. Okay, so you get hacked. You spend a year of your life building up your social media presence.
I posted every single day, Monday through Friday, since July. Sorry, I'm getting used to this, like hearing it in my ear as I'm talking, but it's all good. So every single day, Monday through Friday, since July of last year, blew up. And then one day I opened my Instagram and it says, your account has been disabled for not following community guidelines. And actually back up 2 days prior to this, I get a bunch of messages just randomly, in my request folder. I had gotten a message that said, hey, someone paid me $500 to shut down your account. So you can either pay me more and I won't shut it down, or it's going to be shut down within 48 hours. I'm like, that's the lamest scam ever. Like, who's going to...
I'm not... Yeah. This isn't real.
I'm like, who's going to pay $500 for somebody...
Does that actually work? Like, do you make money doing it like that?
I'm like, there's no way anyone's just... I'm going to be like, okay, here's $500, I'm like,
do you want Venmo or Cash App?
Yeah, I'm like, there's no way that's real. So then 2 days later, sure enough, I open my account. It won't open. It says your account's been shut down. Immediately after, I get a message on WhatsApp that says...
I told you.
Yeah, that said, I warned
Stop.
you. No, it said, I warned you 2 times. You didn't listen. If you want it back, you can pay me, or I'm going to collect the money from my client. I was like, holy shit. God, this is real. I'm screwed. I'm freaking out. This is last week. I also, on top of this, I'm about to post like one of my biggest listings ever. I've got like almost $3 million. And I'm
Is that the one in South County?
Yes.
That house is stunning.
It's
that
gorgeous.
House is insane.
Yeah, I just listed it today, actually, finally.
That's exciting.
So anyways, I started texting a bunch of people. Like, I'm like, oh, what do I do? Anybody who might know somebody that, works at Instagram. I texted Eric from the Broke Agent.
Nobody actually works at Instagram, I think, though. Like, you can't get a hold of anybody, can you?
Well, no, not if you don't know somebody. So I actually I posted on my personal account what happened, and a friend of mine was like, I had a couple people say, hey, my brother-in-law works at Instagram, he can help you. So I was like, oh, that's amazing. But even the people that work there, if they're not like at the top, they can't actually help you. They can put in an internal request, which speeds it up.
Yeah, you're still in the same spot though.
Yeah, it's not like they can go in and just activate your account again.
Just push a button, you're set, you're done.
Yeah. So anyways, I reached out. One of the people I reached out to was Eric from the Broke Agent. And he was like, the same thing just happened to Matt Leonetti, who does the Over Ask podcast with him. And I felt a little bit better because I'm like, okay, it's not just me. Like maybe, if this has happened to a ton of people, like maybe Instagram's going to do something about it. So anyways, I was texting back and forth with them, but the same exact thing happened to him. And on both of our accounts, it said, if we've made a mistake, you can push this button and we'll review it and let you know in 24 hours. But for both of us, 24 hours later, they came back and said, nope, sorry, you're completely
So did they
disabled.
say what it's from? Like, do they know?
Yes. So what happens, this is a little bit different than hacking what people are used to.
So it wasn't the person on the WhatsApp saying, there's no client out there that paid someone $500 to shut your IG down.
I don't know. Maybe there was.
Did you ever send them the $500?
No, I did not. But so what happened is I feel like in the past people get hacked. They get your password and they take over your account and start messaging people. This is different from that. So nobody ever had access to my account. What they're doing now is they're creating a bunch of impersonating accounts. Like you've probably seen that. They look just like your profile. They have
just
your
take all your
picture,
same information. Yeah.
Same information. And they make their own accounts with like 2 eyes instead of 1 eye and Paige or something. So it looks legitimate. And so I was reporting these accounts, and then I guess they have this software I learned from my friend, the guy who ended up helping me, where they mass reported my account. So my account got like
yours got lumped in with
1,000 reports.
Oh.
Yes, they have a software to like mass report it.
Stop.
Yeah. So once you get a certain amount of reports, Instagram just automatically takes it down. So, but I don't understand how they haven't figured out how to correct it, because it's like mine is obviously the real account.
When you have 20,000 followers, right? 30,000 followers, excuse me, 29, somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
There's 100,000 people that are reporting that this is fake. Like the numbers just don't add up, right?
Yeah.
Like how would you have 100,000 people reporting that? It's just a mess.
Yeah, I have no idea, but it sucked. So anyways, I ended up finding this guy who's like, oh yeah, I can get your account back today. He doesn't work at Instagram. He just like has an in there. I honestly think it's his business where they like have somebody at the top. They're like, that's like taking money on the side or something.
So you paid somebody under the table to go and get your account back, and it worked.
Oh, it worked. Yeah. The only reason I wasn't back up the same day is because I lost my freaking ID. He's like, send me a picture of you holding your ID. I couldn't find my ID. I'm like, are you kidding me today? It's like one thing after another, you know?
But luckily you're a trained real estate agent, and that's like what they teach you how to do. It's just one thing after another. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I guess. But anyways, it was crazy. I got another quote from a similar guy who I didn't know personally. He told me, he's like, I can get your account back up for $3,000. I can get verified for $30,000.
Oh, wow.
I was like, are you kidding me? So anyways.
So you sent him $30,000, and then how long till you verify?
I have no idea, but it's super sketchy. But anyways, yeah, the guy I was just talking to before we started was the guy who got my account back basically. And he's like, yeah, I'm getting a ton of messages from other people now who need help. And so anyways, yeah, it's this crazy world, but Instagram needs to get it together because it's nuts. I'm like, and these are people's businesses.
Well, it's like super helpful. Like I appreciate you trying to take down the imposters, right? Like that's great. That helps, I guess.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Like taking down the people impersonating my account?
Yeah, like that. Like taking down bogus accounts is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? Taking down the actual person's account, though, is tough.
Like my real account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. I don't know how they, I don't know how they do it, but yeah, some software where they so I'm reporting theirs, but they mass report mine. So Instagram, they all just get taken down and it's a disaster.
What's the point? Like what are they trying to advantage? Like what are they trying to gain an advantage? Is it
just extortion? I guess they're trying to get money out of people, and then they move on to the next one. So, and I even told the guy that got my account back up, I'm like, how do I know they're not just going to do it again? And he's like, well, I'll put this malware, the software on your account. So if you start getting reported again, I'll call you and be like, hey, go on private immediately. So I'm like, all right, sounds good. Like I don't know, it's crazy.
That still sucks.
Yeah,
but you're back.
I'm back,
and you're back to business as usual.
Yep, back to business as usual.
And now you know how to help other people when they end up in that same situation.
I guess, yeah. So hopefully they don't, because it's horrible. And
especially if it I feel like that's a big portion of your business, right? Like I don't know a ton about how you run your business, and we'll get into it. But just from the limited understanding that I do have, I feel like that's a big portion of what you do as a real estate agent every day.
Oh, my business is based around my Instagram now. Like I get most of my clients from there. I'm selling my listings from there, honestly, now. And, it's in my listing appointment now. Like I have a PowerPoint and I'm showing like, hey, here's are my views. Like this is last month. This is this month. Like this is how many people are going to see your house. So my business is really based around it now. So it's scary that it can just be taken away. So I should probably figure something else out just in case, you know.
No, you figured out your backup option, so you're set now.
Yeah, now I have this guy on the side, so hopefully I don't lose him. I took him out to dinner after. He's here in Utah.
That makes it easy then.
Yeah, so he's a really cool guy, but.
So let's kind of go back to the beginning. We talked a little bit about what your business looks like today, and we're going to go through that in a lot more detail.
Okay.
But I love hearing 9 years ago, right? I want to know where you were at 9 years ago. We're not going to ask your age because that's tacky. But what did life look like for you before real estate? I've had a lot of fun on this. I think you're guest number 13 or 14 so far on the show. And I have had a ton of fun getting to know where people were at prior to real estate, because it's not like we don't all have the same origin story, right? It's not like medical school where we all went to medical school for 9 years. We took out $200,000 in student debt and we got here, right? We all took 120 hours of school. Some people have been less, right? Some of the people we interviewed were even less than that because of when they got licensed. But 120 hours of school, pass a test that you can take as many times as you want to.
Yeah. The barrier of entry is way too low.
So low, right?
It's not good.
Yeah, and I think that's why we see so much turnover within real estate, right?
Yeah.
But I want to know what life looked like for you. I know you have 2 kids. I know that like you've had to balance all of that. But before you're sitting in the chair running a successful real estate empire off of Instagram, what did life look like for you?
I was slinging clothes at Nordstrom. So
really?
I was working at Nordstrom as a personal stylist. I actually met my husband there. So he got hired, like they do their anniversary sale every year. It's like this big event. And so he was in college. They were hiring just like seasonally for the sale. So yeah, I was working there as a personal stylist. I had clients
here in Utah.
Here in Utah at Fashion Place. And they give you like your own cell phones. I had 2 cell phones. I would set appointments with clients. I'd have like their outfits ready in the
You were
in the
good at
dressing
it.
room.
Like you were. I didn't know Nordstrom offered all of that.
Yeah, you can call and you can set up an appointment with a personal stylist and say, have outfits ready for me when I come in. These are my sizes. This is my budget. They'll have it all ready for you, laid out. They'll, and if you spend enough, they'll send you to dinner there. They'll give you a drink card.
Okay, I didn't know any of that was there, so that's good to know.
Yeah,
okay.
They'll get you set up. So yeah, some of my clients I helped at Nordstrom's ended up buying or selling real estate with me after the fact because I had all their contact information. So, but yeah, I worked at Nordstrom for a few years as a personal stylist selling clothes. Just the commissions were a little bit lower,
Yeah. So then you're selling clothes, and obviously you're doing really good at it. Like I didn't even know that was an option. The 2 cell phone whole experience, right? So good for Nordstrom for having that.
Yeah.
I buy all my clothes at Ross usually. So or my wife buys them. So
oh my gosh, you got to step it up. I'll put you in touch with the stylist there.
That seems like
but you look great.
I like spending money on sneakers. So what I like doing is like if you have a nice pair of shoes on. Mm-hmm. Nobody notices that you're wearing a free Edge Homes t-shirt and sweats, right? Like
is that what you're wearing right now?
No.
I'm dressed up. Ross must be like doing well because this is a good outfit. I like it.
Well, what I've learned is that all of the girls that come on the show get dressed up, look really great, look fantastic, and then guys will show up in like jeans and a t-shirt. So I don't know like what the disconnect is there. Yeah. But that's why like I have to dress up a little bit more. So that's what we're working on. But all of that is to say, you were doing really well with that. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, this isn't it anymore. What was it like? How did you come into contact with real estate? Was it a mentor? Was it somebody that you were helping shop for that like, oh, this is a successful real estate agent that I'm helping? Like, what was it?
You know who actually first put the idea? I think the first person who even mentioned something to me was my mother-in-law. She was like, she's like, have you ever thought about getting into real estate? She's like, these agents representing us on our house are making so much money. Like they make a killing. And, I've always loved, real estate. And obviously I was the idiot back then. People think like, oh, you just get to look at houses. Like, that's awesome. So I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. I'd love that,
Yeah. Sounds way easier than helping other people shop for clothes.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like a very small piece of it. But, I decided to get my license and, went all in on it.
That was it. Your mother-in-law made a comment about the money.
She had made a comment about it, and then I feel like there were a few more things. So I'm the oldest. My family is very close, and I have a really big family. I'm one of the oldest, and slowly they were starting to move up here, and I was getting to the age from California, like San Diego, and so I was getting to the age where a lot of my friends and family were getting to that point, and so I'm like, I don't know.
How old were you? I'm just gonna ask.
How old was I? I was probably 25 or 26.
You're how old now?
I'm 34.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just figured, hey, I don't know, maybe I could just be the go-to agent for like friends and family. And, there's not an agent in the family. There's, not really, I don't know any agents in my friend group. So the more I thought about it, I'm like, sweet, maybe I'll just go all in on that. So
was it what was it like? That's kind of what pushed you, what drew you, right? Like was it the money? Was it the lifestyle? Was it like what? And I please be as honest as possible because it's been really interesting to see. There's been a lot of agents that, I mean, for myself included, and I think that this is one of the biggest taboos that a lot of real estate agents do is that they don't want to talk about the money side of it. But let's be honest, you have kids, I have kids, we have bills to pay. Like that is a main reason why a lot of us get into the business. And the more and more that I've gotten into this with the top performing real estate agents, they're all comfortable with that being a portion of not only why they got in the business, but what also keeps them in the business.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even think I realized how much money I could make initially. I just thought it would be a great job that I could do on the side while being a mom. Now, again, come to find out, you can't really do this on the side or you're
this isn't a side hustle.
Yeah. So, but that was my initial. I'm like, that's awesome. I would love looking at homes. I love going through nice houses and this would be a great job where I can raise a family, be a mom and do this on the side. And yeah, it's become a much bigger thing. And it's definitely not as easy as it looks. Like, especially since my Instagram is blown up, I have so many friends and, people who are like, oh, this is awesome. I want to do real estate. I'm like, the Instagram, what it looks like, that's a small portion of it. That's the fun part of it.
That's the highlight reel.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. So I'm like, all right, well, good luck. It's hard, it's hard work.
The stats that we've been using are there's 28,000 active agents right now in the state of Utah ballpark, right? Yeah. About 28,000. 7,500 of those have done one transaction or less in the last 20 or 12 months.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the reality crazy. Of this. And if you're getting into this to be a side hustle, if you're getting into this because you think that the hours are friendly, if you're getting into this for any of those reasons, yes, the money can be, right? That's the key phrase there. The money on this can be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But the money can also be $0. Right. If there's no salary, there's no safety net on this, right?
I've worked with for a year and they don't end up buying. You know, it can be so much work, hours and hours that you could pay $0. But then you can have a bluebird where it's like literally just something appears out of nowhere and you make a, $50,000 commission. So it goes both ways, but it's more often than not, you're putting in a lot of work for no money,
Well, so yeah, going back, what did that first year of real estate look like for you as you're trying to figure out what this new world is?
So before I went to school and got my license, I talked to a couple of real estate agents that I knew and just said, hey, what is this like? I actually talked to an agent. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name right now. But anyways, she was like, why would anybody use you? She's like, why is someone going to use you? I promise you don't know what you're doing when you get your license. And I was like, oh, all right. Thanks for the encouragement,
Very honest though, right?
Yeah, very honest. It was great. So she actually said, she's like, I would join a team because you're going to learn, you're going to get leads handed to you right off the bat. So that's what I did. I called around to different brokerages. I said, hey, do you have any good teams who are looking to hire a buyer's agent? This is while I was in school. And anyways, I found one where I would be the only buyer's agent because I didn't want to be like, they give out a bunch of Zillow leads and everyone's fighting for them, So I was the only buyer's agent. So I was handed leads. I basically hit the ground running because I'm working right away. So I started closing deals right away, and it was a great way to learn. So I give people the same advice now. I know a lot of people are like, don't join a team, don't sign your life away. But for me, it was great to learn because you really know nothing. Like I didn't know how to write a contract. I didn't know how to do, I know the rules, but you really don't know what you're doing after you get your license,
Yeah, well, and I think in that first year especially, right? And I work for a builder that does the exact same thing, right? Gives leads, gives you those warm contacts, which is amazing when you're trying to get your career started, especially because I love what you said that you don't know anything, right? You don't know how to do, the paperwork, you don't know how to do the transaction, but then you also don't know how to do lead gen. And I think that is the biggest question mark that 90% of real estate agents going into this don't know how to do, which is the lead gen side of things.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think a team can help you, because I think for me at least it took about 2 years. I would say it took me 2 years to the point where I felt comfortable, where I felt like documents weren't like foreign to me anymore, where lending terms weren't foreign to me anymore. Like it took 18 months to 24 months to start to just feel comfortable with the transaction side of it before you even get into lead generation, which is where I think the majority of agents flop in this business.
I 100% agree. And I feel like as an agent, you have to people expect you to be the lender, the escrow officer, the marketer, the agent, the buyer's agent, the listing agent. Like they want you to know all aspects of every side of the deal. So, and you don't learn that in school. You learn the laws and you
learn how many feet are in an acre.
Yes. Very high level. So it definitely, it takes a while. They want you to have vendors on contact.
Yeah.
Like I need a painter, I need a contractor.
Who's somebody that can come out really quick?
Fix my deck.
I don't know, because I've never had someone come out real quick.
Yeah,
right?
So it's like you need a list of like people you can just send and refer that are good. I feel like there's so many hats that we have to wear, so it definitely takes a while to get all that developed. So,
you ready to answer a TikTok question?
Which one?
These are brand new.
Oh,
really? This is new. So I've just taken any of the hate, anything like that I get off of my own personal TikTok. Oh my gosh. Realtors are overpaid clowns. I've had a lot of fun personally. Yeah. Like when people post something like that, being able to reply with a video, amazing feature. Big fan of that.
I love it. And I don't think they can delete their comment.
They can't. No, once it's posted. So I'm going to let you draw one and then I'm going to read it for you.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Here we go. This is actually a good one. This isn't a negative one. Some of these are negative, so we avoided that one at least for this. We have one more probably before the end of the show, though. Okay. So this is from our friend Cole. How do I start out? There's so many options. So you actually just touched on that, which I absolutely love, but that was 9 years ago, right? And I'm sure that your perspective has probably changed a little bit, and I think that this would also be super interesting, and I would love to hear what you have to say. How do I start out, and how would you start out differently? How would you start out the same? And then I think also kind of a third question, if I could add, what would you be posting on social media? Because you obviously understand the importance of that now, right? You obviously understand the importance of that currently with how your business looks. But if you don't have the closings, if you don't have the $3 million listing, if you don't have some of the things that your Instagram currently does, how would you become a social media agent, quote unquote?
Just adding value. I'd say even when you're in school, like anything cool that would be helpful to somebody about the contract, what you're learning about the contract, about the rules, I would say put that out there. Anything that somebody might find valuable. And people are interested in real estate. I feel like now there's so much information out there with like Grant Cardone and the Burr method, and people are interested in
even
how do I
selling
make money?
Sunset, right? Like even
yes, the
even
reality
like
shows.
did you see the argument that Ryan Serhant got in the other day?
I think I read about it.
Yeah.
Was it the one about if reality TV shows are good
we're hurting or
bad?
helping the industry? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
What's your opinion?
I think that, okay, like $1 million listing, I feel like that's great. I feel like it makes them look good. It, highlights the hustle.
Yeah.
Selling Sunset, I just started watching that one, and it's a little bit more about the drama. It's not realistic at all.
Yeah.
I feel like those girls kind of look like idiots. They're like, oh, this pool over here. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like making us look bad.
That's not how you actually sell that.
Yeah. So, I think $1 million listing, can be good. But yeah, selling Sunset, I feel like not as much.
So if you're just getting started on social media, your advice is create value, which I think is the exact same thing that you're currently doing.
Yeah.
Right. Everything that you post is creating value for buyers and sellers, I would say. Right.
Yeah.
So figure out exactly what that looks like. That's the other thing too. I think if you're brand new in this and trying to figure it out, copy until you have your own style, right? So copy what Paige is doing, copy what anybody that you see out there is doing, right? Don't shot for shot, because the tricky part, right? And this is the balance. If you copy Paige, you're going to lose to Paige, right?
Yeah.
If they try to copy and do whatever you're doing on social media, any buyer or seller that sees what you're doing versus you're going to beat them as a new agent.
Yeah.
But figure out exactly what she's doing that you think is successful. Take it. Tailor make it to you what your style is, to who your demographic is, to who your avatar is, and then just start creating value for buyers and sellers online.
Yeah. I would spend my first 6 months just putting together my contacts of like, if anybody needs a contact for, a deck, windows, painter, putting together a great list of contacts, because that adds value to your clients. And then I started at Keller Williams, and it was great. They have an amazing training program. You go every single day. They teach you exactly how to do everything. Setting up your systems, like a nice buyer and seller packet, how you're going to do your listing presentation, just getting everything in place so you're not just winging it right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then honestly, I do still recommend, it just depends. It depends on the person. But for me, I still think joining a team right off the bat was great, because you have somebody who can call, they're invested in you because you make money, they make money.
Yeah.
So they want to help you as much as possible. It's not like a broker that's getting hit up constantly, So it's just a built-in mentor, and you're hitting the ground running with deals right off the bat. So,
well, you crush it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that advice. So going back into who you are, right? That first year, we talked a little bit about it, but you join a team, starts to go well, right? You kind of, am I putting words in your mouth? It went well, right? Your first year wasn't terrible. And there's a lot of agents in that first year that they wash out, they're done. After that first year, they don't renew their license, right? So kind of going forward from there, what did your business start to look like? What does it look like now versus then?
So I left the team once I started having kids, and I just went under a local guy, Jimmy Eaton. He's awesome.
I love Jimmy.
I love Jimmy. He's the best.
Eaton Real Estate, love that guy. When I was doing mortgages.
Yeah.
So this would have been like 6-7 years ago. That was one of the first agents that I called on that wasn't mean.
Oh, really?
Right, Jimmy, he was even though he wasn't going to send me any business or anything like that, he was still just very, very nice, played his guitar for me, just great guy, right?
Yeah, yeah. He actually reached out to me. He's like, hey, why don't you just join my brokerage? Like, why are you paying Keller Williams so much? I'm like, I don't know. Sweet, I'll join your brokerage. So I just did it on the side for a while, but then I really went all in again a few years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but
what made you go all in? What changed?
I just was ready. I had been, I had 2 babies, and I was just ready to get going again, so I got a nanny, I got some help, and, really started getting my systems in place, my own, beautiful like buyer guides, seller guides, my listing presentation. And I'm trying to remember why I probably got a few good deals. I'm like, hey, this is awesome. I need more of this, So
the money kind of pulled you back in a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And it's just nice to have something, to build something on your own. So
then would you, we talked about this a little bit before the show started, actually. Would you say that nanny was like a hire for you? Was that like one of the first hires? Because now my advice is like, anybody out there, any real estate agent, anything like that, should have help. And I don't know what it is, but if you're a guy, right, I got to the point in my business where I was so busy that I hired myself an assistant.
Yeah.
And everybody congratulated me. Everybody told me how awesome it was. Everybody was super excited about it. When my wife went to get a nanny, like we got some pushback almost, right? Like people weren't as comfortable with the idea.
Yeah.
And so now that's anybody that's like, what should I do? I hire a nanny. Like I think that was like one of the first hires that we as a couple made that helped push the business forward, right?
Yeah. I mean, it just has to be done. So, I mean, I wanted my kids to have full-time attention, somebody who had a schedule for them and who, you know, was going to be focused solely on them, you know, when I'm not there. So I felt like I didn't want to be all in on one thing. I almost feel like I'm a better mom.
My wife says the exact same thing.
When I have my own thing that I'm doing. And then when I'm with my kids, I'm focused solely on my kids. And it's great. But, you know, some people, I feel like that's their calling. Like they're amazing at it and they're completely fulfilled. So I think it totally just depends on the person, and no shame either way. I feel like we're kind of getting away from that part of society where it's like.
And I think we should.
Yeah. So
then you come back into the business. You were still with Jimmy at that point?
I actually switched to Realty One. Okay. So Realty One, I loved their marketing and their branding. So I switched over to them when I started getting more serious, probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
And so then what did your business look like when because it almost sounds like you started again, right? What was different 2 years ago and what was the same 2 years ago? As far as like what your business was built on?
Well, 2 years ago, I started getting serious about, you know, I got a new website. I, you know, got some of my systems in place, you know, like my graphics, my services, you know, I was just kind of getting all that stuff lined up and in place. But at that time, my Instagram hadn't blown up, I guess, yet. So I was still hustling for every deal. Like I'm reaching out to people constantly. That's part of my business, is calling people, emailing people, following up with old clients, which I still should be doing now. I just am not, because now stuff is just coming to me. But yeah, 2 years ago, that was a big part of it because I didn't have an Instagram presence. And now, so in July of last year, I started growing my Instagram, and I just figured, okay, I hate calling people. I hate it.
It's tough. It's brutal.
It's the worst.
Well, and the other thing too is like if you're a client, you know that they hate it too.
Yeah, I hate feeling desperate for business. And I always try to do it, you know, casually, like send a text or something like that so people didn't forget about me. But I'm like, screw this. Like, I want to just be able to do one post. Yeah. This is what I am. This is what I offer. Here's value. If you want to use me, you can reach out to me. If not, I'm not going to bug you, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I've done. And it's been amazing. So
yeah. So how would you say that has changed? I want to hear two things. Number one, how that experience has changed for you, like what that makes you do as a real estate agent, knowing that you have all of those eyes on you. And then also what that looks like to if you're a buyer or a seller, right? If you're a buyer or a seller and you have Paige working for you, what does that look like specifically with the social media, right? So first for your own business, how it's changed, and then second for buyers and sellers.
So for my own business, how it's changed, like, well, again, I just have people reaching out to me, you know, weekly, if not daily, saying, hey, I've watched all your stuff. They feel like they know me and they're ready to go. Like I'm ready to buy or sell. I put them in touch with my lender. I get back a pre-approval, and then we meet and do a buyer consultation. We go over exactly how the home buying process works, step by step. And, you know, answer any questions that we have. We go over the data in the MLS so they know exactly what's going on.
Do you feel like there's more, when you have a solid social media presence, do you feel like there's more pressure on you to be a certain level?
Possibly, but I also feel like I put out a lot of what I offer and how I do things. So
you're authentic, I would say. Yeah. Right? You're authentic to who you are. Just even though it's your highlight reel, right? Even though it's showing off what you do every day.
Yeah.
It's still you.
Yeah. So I think people kind of know what to expect when they meet me. So anyways, yeah, I feel like I try to give them even more than what they expect. Like, hey, these are all the stats. We're going to go over exactly what's happening in the market. Here's the data from the MLS of what's happening right now. Here's a step-by-step graph of the home buying process from when you start thinking about it to when you close and get the keys. You know, here's frequently asked questions. Should you buy or should you sell first? You know, what goes into an offer? You know, we're going over everything so they feel clear and comfortable. And, you know, then we start sending them homes, looking at homes and close on the deal. So I've got my systems pretty much locked down from start to finish now.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge piece that a lot of real estate agents miss. And I think that's what everybody that we've had on this show, they that's like a theme for them, but it's not their main focus, right? Everybody that we've had on so far has definitely been very aware of what their systems are, what their systems look like, but they don't rely on them, on the systems for the transaction, right? They understand that they still have to be a big part of it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So then what would you say the advantage is? Right? The goal for me when I started this show is I want buyers and sellers to be able to listen or watch or whatever and hear this and say, okay, we want to hire Paige.
Yeah.
Right? What would you say the advantage that you give buyers and sellers in this market that is a very competitive market still, even with a shift? What would you say the advantages that you give buyers and sellers?
Well, for buyers, again, like I just said, my systems, I have a buyer's agent I've brought on now who's awesome, but I don't ever just want to hand somebody off to a buyer. I'm like, no, this is my buyer's agent, but the reason I have somebody is so one of us is always available to you 24/7. One of us will always be available to go out and show you homes, to answer your questions. And then I have a transaction coordinator that's making sure all the paperwork is locked in.
Which is huge.
Yes.
That was probably been my favorite hire so far, was hiring somebody just to help with paperwork
exactly.
stuff.
And on the buyer side,
it's a better transaction for the buyer and seller, I feel like, right?
Yes. On the buyer side too, I now have a huge network of agents who are following me and who I know and I've gotten to know. Through my social media presence, where I did a story the other day because there was nothing in the certain area my buyers were looking for, and I got like 3 leads and one that they're probably going to buy that hasn't even been listed yet. It's off market. And so it's just a network and connection to a lot of different agents to find properties that aren't necessarily on the MLS, aren't on there yet, or, find people who might be selling their property. So that's an advantage of working with me. And then for sellers, I mean, there's a lot, we can go into it, but kind of how I structure my business is I put all of my marketing money, because I spend pretty much $0 on social media. Everything is organic. Everything's gotten out there automatically besides boosting my own listings. I'll pay to boost those. So I put all of my marketing money directly back into my sellers. So a lot of people are spending tens of thousands of dollars on Zillow, a lot of agents.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like the agent I worked for, and I know a lot of other agents who have teams, they'll spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on Zillow, and that's their marketing money to buy leads. I spend $0 marketing myself, $0 on Zillow, but the money I do spend goes directly to my seller. So they're going to get out there on my social media. I'm going to boost their listings directly. So not only my following, but everyone, every buyer and agent is going to know about their home. I include staging on their home to make it look absolutely perfect, whether I'm using my own staging furniture or I'm hiring a stager. I'm doing high-end video marketing for every single listing. And so I'm spending way more money than the average agent on every single one of my listings. So my marketing money goes directly to my clients instead of going to buying leads, and I get that money back tenfold. But it benefits my clients directly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And what would you say the presence that your social media plays for sellers, right? Because you're getting how many eyes on each video or whatever. I'm sure you track it, right? I'm sure you're tracking very closely and seeing this is the amount of attention that I'm getting on your house.
Oh, exactly. I have it it's a slide in my listing appointment now. Like, hey, this was my reach this month. This was my reach last month. This is how many people are coming to my page every week and every month and are going to see your home. So it's a huge advantage. And I've sold houses directly from my Instagram now, from the video, that I've done, or from the post of people saying, hey, my mom is moving here. I love this house. I just sent it to her, and they end up buying it. So
yeah, and it's such an advantage too, because all the other services are accessible to every real estate agent, right? The MLS, you're gonna get the same amount of views regardless of. I mean, okay, to an extent, but you're gonna, assuming everything else is the same, you're gonna get the same amount of views on the MLS. You're gonna get the same amount of views on all the different platforms that people use to list. This is a huge competitive advantage for sellers, though, right?
Yes. Oh, exactly. I mean, the more buyers and agents know about your home, the more money you're gonna get, essentially.
So here's kind of one of the last questions that I love to go over is whenever people come in to Edge and we're talking through stuff with them, I always give them the advice that even if you don't buy something from me, please just buy something.
Yeah.
Just buy something, right? I believe in real estate that much. What advice would you give? I'm huge on giving value for free. So what piece of advice, what piece of value would you give to buyers or sellers or even real estate agents that are listening to this show? You're like, hey, you got to do this.
For sellers, you've got to hire me to sell your house. I mean, that's the number one thing you've got to do. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I would agree. Absolutely. You want to get into a house. I just heard somebody say the other day, people are complaining about interest rates right now. If you're renting, your interest rate is 100%. You're literally just flushing money down the toilet every single month. So as long as you can get into something you can afford, you can make your monthly payment, you might as well have your money going towards something, So
I always hear the term house broke or house poor, right? People always say that. They're like, you don't want to be this, you don't want to be house poor, you don't want to be house broke.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's your bank account.
Yeah.
Put money away. Yeah. Better than putting it on rent, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you can get into something where you can afford the payment, you're going to be fine. Real estate always goes up long term. So yeah, that would be my advice to buyers, and to sellers: hire a good agent to sell your home.
This is from Danny. The question is, can you sell a house every month? So that was what they said, right? Because in their mind, I'm sure that you can't actually sell a house a month. But how many houses can you sell a month?
I mean, people are selling. There's some people selling, a few a week. So absolutely, you can sell a house every month. So, yeah, I'm trying to do one a week.
That's a great number, though. Do you know what the average agent sells in a year?
No.
I think in order to be at least top 500 in Salt Lake County, I think you had to do 9 million. So if you have an average purchase price of, let's say, 500,000, you're probably doing 15 transactions a year, maybe 15 to 17 transactions a year.
Yeah.
How doable is that, do you think, for a lot of agents to sell a house a month?
Very doable if you have your systems in place and you know what you're doing.
Any advice to somebody that's trying to get to that?
I would say have your lead pillars in place, whether it's social media, outreach to your SOI, and something from, an online presence. If you have at least 3 lead pillars where you have stuff coming from and you're just working them monthly, you're going to get
You should be able to.
You should be able to.
Yeah, and then I think if you take care of people, right? Because if you take care of people, then they know somebody, and then it's just that I think has been the biggest lead gen for me, is like helping agents sell more houses, right? Yeah. That's always been my focus, is if you come in, I want to give you the best chance possible. When you bring a buyer, and I want to help you and give you the best chance possible to sell that house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so when that gets spread, that's when people are like, okay, call Boo. Right. And that's when I think that's a huge thing that I think a lot of agents don't focus on as much as they maybe should.
Oh, absolutely. If somebody has a great experience with you, they're going to keep coming back for more. They're going to want to tell their friends, want to tell their family, and they're going to send deals to you. So absolutely, that's huge.
Well, appreciate that. That's a great question. Thanks, Danny. Who are you outside of real estate? What's kind of the bookend for you?
I'm definitely a big family person. My family's huge. My husband's family is big. We're very close with both of our families. So being a mom and a wife, and spending as much time with the group of people that, I love, that I'm closest to. I feel like that's, what keeps you fulfilled in life, is having your core group, that you love and care about, and spending time with them, and, kind of filling up your cup that way.
How do you balance, right? We joked about when I was putting my phone over there, you're like, sometimes it's hard for real estate agents to give the phone up, right?
I know, yeah.
How do you, and I hate the word balance, but how do you find harmony? I think that's the word we've been using on the show, right? How do you find harmony between the two things?
Yeah, I would say just taking time and planning stuff when you can, and sometimes spontaneous stuff. Like last week, I was like, a bunch of my cousins happened to be in San Diego together, and on Friday, I'm like, gosh, okay, I have to be at the Parade of Homes. Can I send Malaysia, who works with me, to do the Parade of Homes on Saturday? I'm like, screw it. All right, I'm flying out. So I flew out Saturday morning with both of my boys by myself, came back the next day, Sunday, but I had full 2 days where I'm just spending time with family, and
you're traveling with your boys, and
traveling with my boys. They have my full attention. So I'd say putting stuff on the schedule whenever possible, to focus on that stuff so you don't burn out, Yeah.
And I think that's probably a big portion of why the average agent doesn't keep their license for longer than 5 years. And I think
burnout, you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think after that 5 years, one of two things that happens: either you get rid of your license, or you completely change how your business is done.
Yeah.
Right. You put certain things into place so that you can disappear for 2 days. You put which is really, really hard to do, I think, in those first 5 years.
It's so hard. Even for me now, I'm like, can I do this? It makes me so nervous.
There's still a lot of imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
At least for me.
Yes. Well, it just is hard to let go.
Yeah.
And say, is somebody else going to give the same level of service that I can? So that's what I'm still working on, is building, a system and training people so that I can leave and everything's done the exact same. I don't feel like I'm quite there. Like I can leave for a day or two, but I don't know that I could take off for a week and everything would run exactly the same, but that's the next step for me.
Well, year 9, right?
Yes.
Well, you'll have it done by 10, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Okay. Well, you're the best. We appreciate you coming on. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
They can call me. My Instagram is the most popular, obviously, Utah Real Estate Page.
We'll link it all below.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And call or email me. All my contact information is in my bio there, or utahsfinestrealtors.com is my website. You can find me on there too for anybody living under a rock that doesn't have Instagram.
Okay. Well, you're the best. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much.